Hi, it's Jnwynn with Scraptastic Yarns Podcast. Yesterday my Knitcrate came, but I didn't get it out of the mailbox until this morning. So we're going to do a little opening. Ooh, and I got the pretty green. The theme this month is dash dot dash, and that is Morse code. And that is Morse code for the letter K. You get two booklets this time. One is the knit pattern, and that is West Wind. And the designer is Ann Puddlesack. I hope that's correct. And she also gives you an extra code inside of here for the to get some other patterns by her. Let's see the crochet pattern. The crochet pattern is called Las Mañanitas de Blanca. Now I'm assuming this refers to someone in her family. Okay, this is in honor of her grandmother, apparently. Las Mañanitas typically refers to serenades or songs, like during a birthday celebration you would sing the happy birthday song. So I'm assuming that this is the serenade of Blanca, or Blanca's Serenade. The designer is Cecilia Lozada, and she is from Argentina. She also gives an additional special offer for 20% off of her patterns. And but you gotta be a member. Can't tell you the code. But they're very, very beautiful patterns. This is, I got the colorway Tamponade, and it is on the Dream, and it's a Fidelana is the one that produces this. It is 329 yards, 100 grams of 70% superwash merino wool, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. It is a sport weight. Suggested needle size is 3 to 5. Hook is probably about 3 to 5 as well. But it is gorgeous. Now green is my favorite color. Although lately I've been kind of straying towards blue colors. But you get two of those in a Knitcrate. I am not one of their ambassadors. So you would need to go to one of the other gals like No Catchy Name Crochet or Hooked on Owls. There's quite a few others. Creative Grandmother. Quite a few other people are ambassadors. So I see that, and I'm not real sure what I want to do with that, although I have an idea, and that will come later. Kind of wanted to give you an update on the Spring Garden Shawl. There was an update made to the Ravelry shop, but there was somebody who was assisting me this morning, and I was trying to update, but I got up, did it first thing in the morning while the coffee was being made. So the un-caffeinated me deleted it by accident. Brilliant. I just wanted to update the pattern because it now has a link for the video on that wrapped 2 double crochet stitch, as well as there was a yarn over that was left out of the initial pattern, so I needed to update it to correct it anyway. So the un-caffeinated Jane deleted the pattern. However, those of you that have previously purchased the pattern, what I did is I gifted you the updated version, and those of you that did not purchase it through Ravelry and use well, you purchased it through Ravelry, but those of you that did not use a Ravelry name, either because you do not have Ravelry name, which I don't know why you don't join, it's free. Links to a lot of patterns, some great designers, including myself. Okay, I'm bragging. So, what I did is I emailed you the PDF. So I'm hoping that corrects the issue. I apologize. Lesson learned. 1, you should never do something if you're used to being caffeinated before you start until you are caffeinated. I had planned on updating it last night, but my husband was watching some videos on his gamers, about new quests in their game, you know. And you can't interrupt that because uploading a pattern usually takes a little more bandwidth off of our internet, so it slows things down for him. So I decided to wait till this morning. I get up earlier than he does usually, and I just made a boo-boo. What can I say? I corrected it the way that I could. Lesson learned. Some other updates are, I have been looking at starting it'll be part of this, but it's a new series within my podcast. Basically of taking stitches that we already know and creating something. I wanted to give you an idea of how I design things. I don't always design things the way that I'm showing you in this first video. But when I started doing that, I realized I needed to do some research. And what I needed to do in way of the research was, if I have looked at a pattern, say from this book, because a lot of designers use other ideas, you know, stitch encyclopedias, those kind of things. If I find a stitch that I like in here, and I take it, and I create something out of it, am I actually breaking this book's copyright? So I did some research into that, and I don't think the way that I'm presenting it would break their copyright, because I am not actually using word for word what this person put in for that stitch. It's not a name stitch. And I've done enough to this to change it up. There are certain basic stitches in crochet that crochet stitches in many respects are considered techniques. And techniques cannot be copyrighted. They can be patented, but that's kind of hard to do. And honestly, for those of us that design, if we had looked at a pattern, incorporated it into a pattern we are writing, designing, you know, you get into that tricky thing of whether it is or isn't. However, the first video that I've done, I totally decided, well, I kind of like the look of that, but I don't like the way that is. So I've changed everything up about it to create. And what we're creating in the first video will be a scarf. Now that pattern will be uploaded on Ravelry as a free pattern. And I had planned on doing this series like once a month to create something, and those would all be free patterns on Ravelry. So, it gets kind of tricky. Do have a friend that's a lawyer, and we're going to discuss that this week before I put up the episode, just because I want to be sure that I'm not breaking any rules. Copyright rules are really hard for knitting crochet pattern designers. What they tell you is you cannot use, the exact words. Well, folks, everyone knows that a V-stitch is always usually the same wording. Double crochet, chain one, double crochet. You can't get away from using some of the same words. So I think that's where it comes in, that it's considered a technique and not necessarily a pattern. The pattern becomes the pattern when you add a lot of other stitches in and you write a specific let's do it this way, as in, what you see when you look at patterns. That is, everyone creates something different. So, it's going to be interesting. But I just thought it might be a fun way for everyone to learn to use the stitches out of their stitch books and create something very different for yourself, for gifts, whatever. And in the process, maybe you'll learn to combine stitches and create something of your own that's very unique for your family, for members of someone special. So I just thought we might explore some of that. And of course, like I said, that would be a monthly feature. It wouldn't be a weekly thing or anything like that. I do plan on doing a couple of tutorials for some of the other items that I've made. I've made 2 items from this first stitch that I incorporated into a pattern. And you'll get to see those when it comes time to video it. And during that time I will do a tutorial of how I created that pattern so that you can see how it's done. So that's it. Everybody have a great day, and I should see you Tuesday on my normal video podcasting day. Remember to be kind.